Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm most elated to be doing this with you, my dear sisters. Great thanks to our governor and our leaders, and I celebrate the entire leadership of TCN, particularly Pastor Kojo Imade, for this initiative. I'm a life that is currently being blessed for it. I got into marriage planning to be a stay-at-home mom and being the most supportive wife and loving human you could ever meet. Looking back at 13 years of being a wife and 11 of being a mom, that romantic idea has become somewhat hilarious. I got into this community because I refused to run mad, trying to be all while raising 3 bubbly kids and being a male flag mom. So after first 5 years of my life as a work from home mom, I decided enough was enough. My first strategy was prayer. I humbly asked God for help. I needed help and I needed it fast. For me, it wasn't just that I wanted to be what I said I dreamt about being anymore. It was getting to the point that I could not find myself either, and suddenly for a long time it looked like I didn't even know who I used to be, and it felt like I don't know, it just kind of just muddled up the whole idea of what I had about life, basically. So I had to go back to God and I cried to Him and asked Him for help. After I prayed, one of the things that God showed me, in fact, the major thing, my starting point was I had to go back to really operating the same thing I've been using for my personal life, to begin to use it, in my space now. The only thing is that the dynamics have changed, but the strategy remains. Because what I had before was an idea, and an idea is not a plan. It's not the same thing as a plan. The third strategy was to submit to process. Okay, many of us go through processes without even knowing that we're actually going through process, and that's where pressure comes up. Process and submitting, they are 2 different things. Process is a natural way of life. It's something that must happen for changes to occur. There are certain things that would happen for something else to happen. One example is the fact that you would, when you put to bed and you're still working, you still have to work, depending on, probably you have an employer or you even have your own business, whatever, you still have to submit to somebody, you still have to do some certain things. There is nothing you can do about the fact that you're still a new mom, that you're not going to be able to sleep well, and that you're going to get cranky. And you're not going to be able to start explaining this to all your customers. So what I mean by submitting to the process is, first of all, you've got to agree with your process. You've got to accept the fact that this is leading you to another level. It is not your stop, and that's the beauty of process. It's always is progressive. Okay, so something is happening, and in the process of it happening, there might be discomfort, there might be, it might be tiring, it might get frustrating and all that. When you start looking at it and saying that, oh, I know that this is going to be frustrating, I know that I didn't sleep well, and so I'm bound to get cranky. And you look at it and say, because I did not sleep well, okay, and I know that there's a possibility of me getting cranky, is there something else I can do? Maybe I can delegate, probably ask someone to do this for me. Maybe I can call someone to help me attend to this customer if I can. Or is it possible to reschedule? If you're working in a place where you could actually write and say, can you please give me some time within this period? Basically, whatever it takes for you to actually go through that process. That's what I mean by submit to process. There's no point fighting it and causing unnecessary pressure. Another aspect of pressure that I faced for a brief time was I actually forgot where I was going, because in the process of nursing my first son, my first baby actually, and I wasn't doing it quite a number of things I felt that I was used to doing, and so I for a moment I forgot that I was a mother. I forgot what was happening for me, and I started concentrating more on the things that weren't happening for me, not knowing exactly what was going on with me until I understood what was happening, and I understood that this was the process, and so I just submitted to the fact. One thing that I always used to encourage myself, even till now, because it keeps changing as different stages of motherhood. I don't have toddlers anymore, but I have growing kids, and I have one, almost a teenager now. So I just remind myself that this stage will pass. We're just moving. We're just on the way somewhere. My first strategy, I learned to become more inclusive in my plans than being autonomous, which means I put into consideration all the people in my corner, okay, and not just be running on my own fast lane. Okay, so as I'm activating my own doability mode, I'm working by consideration in helping them get into their own doability mode as well. For instance, you need to understand the personality types that you're living with, your husband, your children, the kind of personality that your home has. Every home has its own personality, okay? If you have a home full of sanguines, for instance, you're going to have, and well, it depends if you are sanguine too, but I doubt if that ever happens. But if it happens like that, you know that having a tidy space at all time may not necessarily be the case. Okay, so what I mean by inclusive, becoming inclusive, is when you're planning, don't look at yourself alone. Think about all the other people that you're sharing the house with. I want to give an example of a very significant example for me. I got tired of, the fact that I was the only person that seemed to have to organize, as in that seemed to get ticked off by disorganized space. And I was doing so much, I was getting tired, and I realized that it was putting me on edge more. I was getting crankier, and usually it is not good for my work. I need to smile when I'm taking my training sessions, so it was not helping me, and I need to do something about it. So I realized, okay, I have 3 other hands in the house, irrespective of their ages. I felt that, these were the people, in fact, they formed the larger chunk of the untidiness I see at home, and I needed to get them to help. While I've been teaching them how to do the chores, I have not really, I didn't see, how do I put it, I was not really achieving optimal results, because I still have to wake them up, I still have to go after them one after the other, I still have to put them through, even the following up was getting tedious for me. And of course, I used my other strategy, which was praying, and I got the wisdom to actually call them together. So I called them and I held a board meeting. I want to tell you, this turned around my life, where this is, significantly, because we had a meeting where I had to treat them like they were co-occupants in this house indeed, and then I had to explain to them why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why they may not necessarily be able to do like any other kid. Okay, basically I had to market to them also who I can be if they will let me stop having to pursue them to do their chores. There's only so much I can say within 10 minutes, okay? So I will just end with these 5 rules of engagement that I use, basically, that anybody can use for life management. That's what I call time management, because your life is your time. Your time is your life, okay? I want you to be able to remember 5 as a mom, so I'll make it really simple. Number 1 is respect. Number 2, depress. Number 3, prepare. Number 4, write. And number 5, rest. You must respect your time. You start by respecting time. Respect your own time, respect other people's time as well. But I've discovered that if you learn how to do yours personally, others will follow. I say depress, okay? Deactivate pressure. So start doing things the time they should be done. Look for plan B. If you can't find plan B, look for plan C effectively. Number 3 is prepare. Now, when I say prepare, I mean that plan even for your break time. Plan every time. If I tell you some of the things I plan, some people will actually think that I'm paranoid, but I have come to realize that when these things are not planned, they don't happen. Plan when there is no plan. If you have on your schedule, today I'm not doing anything, plan what you are going to do on the day that you are not doing anything. Are you going to sleep? A few days ago, my husband had some health complications and all that, and I had to rush him to the hospital in the middle of the night. I slept there. I did not plan that. Now the following day, I got a message that I was going to do this class, and I'm also not one person to turn down opportunities like this when I can do it actually. So what I did was, first of all, not to get myself under pressure. I knew that there was nothing I can do. What has happened, and I was not ready to also start discussing some things that I was already working in faith in, so that I don't talk myself out of faith. So I didn't bother mentioning this was what was going on with me. Okay, what I did was just to start making a plan despite what was happening. All right, so and the moment I just got back from the hospital as I'm coming right now, we've been out all day, all right, and we're just coming back. We had to eat on the road. I brought something for my kids to eat when I get home, and then I quickly tried to put a note together, and I'm doing this now. Okay, so even in a situation where I did not, I had a plan of what I wanted to do, things that I did not plan for happened, but because I already knew what my week was going to be like part of it was each of the time I get to park the car, I'll quickly send a message, text a client, do this and do that, and then we'll continue along that. Sometimes maybe my husband is seeing the doctor, or maybe he's trying to run a test, I'll get something going because I have a plan, I suppose, and that my plan that I'm working is what my week schedule is for this week. So because I had that, it was easy for me to identify where the disruptions are and then just be able to glide myself back gradually into where I'm going. So if you have a plan, even when there is no plan, it's always easier for you to glide yourself back. Planning is not a guarantee that things doesn't go out of things don't fail. It's not a guarantee, but it just means that at least you have a sense of direction no matter what comes your way. And lastly, I said rest. The way I will just explain that one is work no dey finish.